Hey everyone, welcome back to the Thundertron podcast. Today I'm actually be doing a non-spoiler review of the Transformers Rise of the Beast film. So this is a non-spoiler review, so it really shouldn't be that long of a segment or a video because I really won't be going that much into depth into the plot, story and the film. I'm really just going to be kind of giving you my bare bones, basic thoughts and feelings, and the impression the film gave me. I've only seen it once, so of course my feelings and opinions could change over time. If I see it a second time, I might like it more, I might like it less. But actually will be doing an entire separate review on this film, of course, including spoilers and the plot, the whole, storyline. That'll be a separate video, of course, most likely much longer than this one. This should probably be pretty short. It's really just kind of giving you my thoughts on it. If you haven't already seen it, you can actually get the impression I'm giving, kind of make you more excited and interested in it. Just if you're wondering how I thought. So overall, I thought it was actually a really good film. I actually did lower my expectations going into this film because, the style is very different. It's a different director, different cast. There's brand new characters that have never been in live action. The Beast Wars characters. This is the first time they've been in live action, and I think it's really cool, very exciting. That there's a lot of potential and story they can do with these characters. Of course, this is supposed to be a trilogy, so I do have to say, when you see this, don't expect, everything to be revealed, all in this film. It might take, it might take until the second film or the third film to, fully develop all the characters. It really happens over time. They do this with a lot. They do it with Star Wars, many other trilogies, Harry Potter. It happens a lot where they don't just, jump right into it right away and just reveal everything. Usually characters develop over, many scenes, many movies, especially, when they know they're going to do three films from the beginning, they have a plan. Some trilogies, some stories and movies, they don't know how many films they're going to do. They might do, two, they might do three, they might do five movies. And with like Michael Bay, when he made the first one, I don't think he actually knew at the time he was going to do five Transformers movies. I actually think when he made Dark of the Moon, I'm pretty sure he was planning on stopping, but then he made two more. So just what I'm trying to get at is, if you feel as though they didn't have enough story or screen time for a character, maybe they could highlight them more in the next film. It really just takes time. But overall, I was really surprised of how much I liked it. I knew I was gonna like it. I was just, I was really unsure how I was gonna feel because it's been so long since I've seen a Transformers movie. The last one I saw was Bumblebee, several years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. So I really just wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about this one because it's such a different, approach and style than the other ones, and I think it's pretty cool. I actually think this is a very good mixture of Bumblebee and Michael Bay because, a lot of people liked Bumblebee, I myself included. I think it's a really good film. Some people didn't because, of course, it was the first live action film that wasn't the Michael Bay style. There wasn't huge, Chicago, city wars, buildings collapsing, driller beasts. There wasn't, the military and tons of thousands of Decepticons and Autobots. So, it was very different, so some people didn't like that new style. So I think this is a really good mixture of Bumblebee and Michael Bay because there was really good story, a really good, human and Transformer relationship. That's what they did a really good job in Bumblebee. Charlie and Bumblebee had a really good relationship. They were friends, you cared about them, a really good emotion. And then again, some people didn't say there was enough action. I think there probably could have been some more in some scenes, but of course that was a much smaller film. There was only like, two bad guys, Shatter and Dropkick. So I think with this film, it does actually pretty much listen to people's critiques. There's more villains, there's more action, and they still keep that same, good backstory with the humans and a good relationship with the humans and the Transformers. So I really do like that. Um, I think the acting, Anthony Ramos and Dominic Fishback, I think did a really good job with their characters, Noah and Elena. I think you really care about them. They actually have a pretty good relationship as well. As for, at the first beginning part, they're like, "Who are you? Why are you here?" And I think they really grow to be friends. I'm actually not entirely sure if both of them are supposed to be in the next two films. I'm pretty sure probably Noah will stick around for all three films. I'm not sure if Elena will. I guess she probably will. It's kind of up in the air. They really haven't told us pretty much of anything about the next two films. It's confirmed, Paramount did say, yes, this is a trilogy. We just really don't know what direction it's going to go in. I'm not really sure. I actually would like to see them both in all three films because that's a really good opportunity to further develop, their story, their relationship, and just to make us more interested in the characters. Um, I think the voice acting of the Terracons, the Maximals, the Autobots was also really, really good. There's actually a few characters that we had no idea what they were going to sound like. I'm pretty sure we never heard Battletrap, we never heard Nightbird and Cheetor in the TV spots and trailers. And there was quite a few of those, but we never heard their voices that I remember. I don't remember hearing them at all. So that was actually pretty cool to kind of have a guessing game. Like, what's the approach they're going to go for? What are they going to sound like? Are they going to have like an accent? Are they going to maybe not speak, like what was it going to sound like? So that was a pretty cool kind of guessing game, and really nice anticipation for that. And I think they sounded really good. Um, I think Optimus was definitely a major highlight for me for this film because he actually showed a kind of surprisingly a lot of emotion. I can't, say why because it'll spoil it. You'll learn why once you see it, and of course once you hear and listen to my other full review with the spoilers. But for this one, he had a lot of emotion. Actually, surprisingly, the reason why I'm saying that is because in the Bay movies, Optimus was cool, but he was kind of like he didn't show that much emotion. He was like, I'm your friend Sam, but he didn't really like his tone and his facial expressions never really show that. Like, Ironhide died and there was never a scene of like Optimus like, mourning his death. There was never him sad. He was like, "Oh, I'm mad at, Sentinel." He was never like, "Oh, I'm sorry Ironhide died in Dark of the Moon." There was never really a mourn scene, and in Transformers 1, Jazz was killed by Megatron. He was somewhat sad Jazz died, but it was like done in an instant. It was like a 1 second scene. So I have to say, with these sad scenes, these more happy scenes and stuff like that, I think they did a really good job. And it showed a different side of Optimus because he's usually very stoic and stern in the movies and in the TV shows. Transformers Prime, he does, that is how he is. I'm not really complaining, about the whole, story of Optimus. That's really always how he's been. I actually kind of like the different approach they went with this movie. I do have to say it's actually really cool to see how he develops because in the beginning he was a bit unsure of humans, and he was a bit like on edge. He wasn't as trusting of pretty much most of the characters. He was kind of blaming himself. He was kind of putting a lot of weight on his shoulders, but over the time he actually became happier. He trusted more people, and I actually really like to see that development because I do have to say with the Michael Bay films, it was pretty much the same consistent way for pretty much all the Autobots. There was never really a development of Bumblebee or Optimus or Drift or any of them in any of the films, which was a bit unfortunate. Um, but yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. Scourge. I think Scourge was actually a huge highlight. He actually surprised me of how honestly menacing and scary he was. It shocked me because, we watched the TV spots and I was really never like I would say excited about Scourge. I was kind of like, okay, this is interesting, because we're always used to it being, Unicron and Galvatron. And Scourge was kind of like a henchman. He wasn't like the main baddie, it was like Cyclonus, Galvatron, and Unicron. So it was a bit interesting that they actually just kind of got rid of Cyclonus and Galvatron and put him in here. Um, and he actually had the spotlight, and I think they did a really good job with them. The voice work was amazing. I do have to say this could just be me, I don't know, but he actually sounded very different from the trailers to the movie. Not in a bad way. I still think he sounds really menacing, very, scary, commanding, evil like in this film. It's just not what I was expecting. When his first scene came in, when he first, started speaking, I was like, oh, I was like, wow, that's way more different than I was expecting. Because, I've seen TV spots and trailers, and he's pretty much in all of them saying at least, a few words. And of course, yes, trailers, typically when they release a trailer, it usually does change in the end. Because, like, our first teaser was like in December of 2022. So, many months later, we actually got the film. So there is changes to be expected. I was just kind of surprised how much they changed his voice. But again, not in a bad way. I don't want to worry you. It still sounded really good. Um, all the other characters, the Beast Wars characters, Primal, Rhinox, Cheetor, Ares, that was really nice seeing them. I again do think they probably could have used a bit more screen time, but I wouldn't say it ruins the film. What I always say with pretty much any movie, Transformers or not, I think it's probably for the film to be shorter than too long. Too short is better than too long, because too long, you're tired of the movie, you want to skip some scenes, you want to stop watching, you get kind of bored. So I think it's honestly better for it to be too short, because then that means you like it. That means you want more. It means you're enjoying this. So I actually think it could have maybe been longer, because it's one of the shortest Transformers movies out there. I think currently, I think Bumblebee is the shortest. I'm pretty sure it's just under 2 hours. This one I think is about 2 hours and 10, if I'm correct. There's actually several runtimes kind of floating around. I've actually heard an hour and 57. I've heard 2 hours and 7 minutes, and I've also heard 2 hours and 16 minutes. So kind of up in the air which one it actually is. But it's in that range. I think it's a good length. If I were making it, I probably would have added maybe a few transitional scenes. I do have some complaints. Like, I think there was a few areas that they could have used some context, some extra lines. I'm gonna go more into depth in the full review, because if I say it now of what I mean, I could spoil it. But I think there probably could have been a few extra lines and some scenes just to get some added context and just to show the Maximals more, because it did seem like they could have been in there more. But that's just my opinion. I mean, they were in there a decent amount of time. It wasn't just like, you blink and they're gone. They were in there quite a bit. I guess maybe I could just be so excited to see them. Maybe I'm just expecting them to be in there too much. I don't know. Um, but yeah, Battle Trap Nightbird, that was really cool to see them. I actually really do like how they included Nightbird, because she was such a minuscule, small character in the Transformers G1 show. She was in there like what, one episode, and she's been in other TV shows, but never live action. And if we had been told, years back when Michael Bay was making them, that she'll be in a film one day, I don't think I would have believed it. I was like, seriously, like, that's such a small, minuscule character, and they're gonna put him in a film? And I think that's really cool. I'm actually really glad how they're including some small characters that people don't even know of. Like, maybe some younger collectors, some younger Transformers fans who never watched the G1 show, they're like, okay, who's that character? Like, who's Nightbird? They might have never seen that episode. So that's actually pretty cool to introduce some new characters. Um, and yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say. Let me think of this film if you've seen it in the comment section down below. Do you think it should have been longer, or do you think the length was good, or do you think it should have been shorter? I don't think it should have been shorter. I mean, already it's one of the shortest films. I mean, if you think that, of course, let me know in the comments if you think it should have been shorter. I don't think many people are going to. I think probably most people are going to say it should have stayed the same or longer. I personally think it could have probably benefited from maybe 10 or like 15 minutes longer at the most. Of course, specific, scenes, because, if I told the director, hey, add 15 minutes of footage, he could have done completely different scenes that I don't like. There's really some specific scenes I think they could have added in areas of the film, but people could disagree. Directors could disagree on that. It's really just in my personal opinion. But I do hope you enjoyed this, short little review. It's kind of hard to do a non-spoiler review without, saying all the things you want to say, because I can't spoil it. So definitely the full, review with the spoils will be a much longer video. I'll go much more into depth. I just am trying not to spoil pretty much anything, even the slightest detail, because I don't want people to be mad at me in the comments, of spoiling something like, oh, I thought this was a non-spoiler review, but you spoiled it for me. So I was really trying to pretty much keep it as basic as possible. I thought it was a really good film. I guess if I were to give this film a rating, 8.5 out of 10. That's actually what I put in the community section of my YouTube channel. That could change over time, because I just saw it. Usually when you see like any movie, especially if you're a Transformers, fan, and you see a Transformers movie, you're probably going to say, oh, that's the best film of all time, and you might change your opinion over time. But from seeing it once, I think it's a good 8.5 out of 10. Maybe if I were to be more strict, from a non-Transformers fan standpoint, I would probably say maybe an 8 out of 10, but it could change over time. I've only seen it once, but for now, 8.5 out of 10, I think that's pretty good. I actually probably will do a whole, ranking of the, if you want to see me, like, ranking the Transformers films, from the Michael Bay to Bumblebee to this one, I might put it, like, ranking in, like, the community section, or maybe I'll do, like, a video of, like, my, favorite to least. If you want to see that, of course, let me know in the comments. But I do hope you enjoyed this non-spoiler review. Of course, make sure you stay tuned for my full review coming very soon, and I'll see you next time.